Greetings and a very warm welcome to all my watchers from around the world. The sun is shining and the magpie is casting. Coming at you guys today with a live 1 vs 1 battle featuring, spawning in the south, it's going to be the United States forces of imber. And spawning in the north, it's going to be the Overcommand West forces of henkajumper. So, a couple of players that I have not had the pleasure of casting before. We're going to take a look at their play today. The map today is going to be Langreskaya, so this is a returning map from Company of Heroes 1. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this map by now. I'm just going to have a little pan around as our players fan out their forces. Seems like, actually, as I pan around, we've got an aggressive rush here. We've got a Kuba wagon coming across with a few Storm Pioneers. There's going to be a play made here by henkajumper, so let's see what happens. Rear echelons here, kind of caught in the open here with their pants somewhat down. Kuba wagon's going to suppress them. Storm Pioneer's going to get on top of them, and that'll be an instant fallback. Now the riflemen, they're going to suffer the same fate, I would have thought. Kuba wagon's going to get the suppressing fire. No, Kuba wagon needs to edge forward, and there's the micro. Little late, I would say. You know, just a fraction of a second, but it makes all the difference as the riflemen may now be able to pick off one of these Storm Pioneers, and they do before they get suppressed. And so now they're suppressed. Storm Pioneers bang on top of them. That'll be a fallback. Second rifleman squad here. Kuba wagon needs to prioritize firing into this location. That'll suppress these two squads. Storm Pioneers coming back across, and behind this we've got Volksgrenadiers coming out. We've got a Schwerevermech Schlepper, which has actually moved into position down in the sort of southeast of the map. So using this aggression to kind of delay the development of his opponent's resources and map control, and the Storm Pioneers are going to be able to repair this Kuba wagon, which is still in a great position. Here comes the fire, and it's immediately going to suppress these guys. And you've got to feel for the USF. They don't really have an answer to this. It's not like they can pull out, I don't know, a mortar squad at this point, or anything like that, or even save for a Zis gun, which, you know, if the Soviet forces, they could do. Or if you're playing as the Brits, you know, you could make a play with the Bren Universal Carrier, or you could make a play with, you know, actually it's a little bit too late, but I was going to say you could get an SAS sniper, or an anti-tank gun, but for the Brits that stuff comes pretty late, so maybe not. Schwerevermech Schlepper, it's just kind of chilling in this location. We'll probably have a battle group at HQ on the way in a biz. We've got some Volksgrenadiers. They're putting up some sandbags in a good position here. Kuba wagon very damaged now, just kind of kiting for maximum effect. I would just keep kiting it now. I would worry because these riflemen, they're aiming now, and if they get like any hits at all onto this Kuba wagon, it's pretty much toast. Kuba wagon, a pretty damn good unit, pretty useful at this stage in the game, so you want to keep it alive. Not so much in the mid and late game, but right now is when it's at its best. So you want to preserve it at all costs. The Storm Pioneers, they are reinforced. They're going to come out and heal that Kuba wagon. We've got some Volksgrenadiers here, just going to try and tax these riflemen as they push up through the map. Although this is an exchange, they'll probably lose. So yeah, they're going to make themselves scarce. Volksgrenadiers getting into a good building here, and that should give them the edge against these riflemen. Able to force them back, I would have thought. Meanwhile, behind all this, we've got rear echelon troops just taking ground, just grabbing munitions point. They'll be onto a victory point shortly. And despite their very aggressive start, henkajumper actually never grabbed any victory points, which, you know, on this map especially is a thing that can happen very easily. And so he's actually trailing only by 9 tickets, nothing to write home about there. Yeah, that's the state of play right now. Rifleman going to be kind of caught in the open here, and a very good rifle grenade there from the veteran squad. Gonna be the end of the Kuba wagon there, so there's 5 fuel waiting to be salvaged in the Overcommand player's base, which he'll surely do. These Storm Pioneers now at 1-star veterancy. We're getting picked down by the riflemen. I would just fall them back. They're just feeding veterancy right now. At this range, against guys in heavy cover, they'll be contributing very little to the fight. Especially with only 2 men in the squad. With 4 men, yeah, for sure, leave them in the fight. But right now, you're just delaying reinforcing them. You want this to be a 4-man squad as soon as possible. In my opinion, I just think that's the most efficient way to play it, but I could be wrong. So anyway, Volksgrenadiers here in good positions, and we may see an incendiary grenade come out here. This fight's been going on long enough that imber's eyes may be elsewhere, although he'd be risky to do that. Wow, these Storm Pioneers are just not going to go home. Fine, fair enough. Cool. Well, you know, deriving efficiency another way here by maintaining them on the field gives him another squad and another something that can be capping and maintaining field presence. So that's pretty useful. Establishing some sandbags here in the middle with the Volksgrenadiers. Pretty standard play there. These rear echelons just chewing through ground. They've secured the munitions point. They're now going to grab this victory point. Meanwhile, the battle group at HQ is establishing kind of up here in the sort of, I don't know, northeast-ish, just northeast of mid. This is a fine spot, and I see a lot of Overcommand players deploying it here. You have to be very careful, though, never to let enemies get into this building. If enemies get a squad into this building, especially if that squad has a flamethrower or is a machine gun squad, you're gonna have a bad time. All right. If you let enemies into the building next to your battle group at HQ, you're going to have a bad time. A couple of rifleman squads here. They're going to force back these Volksgrenadiers, and I'm sure they'll be very glad of the sandbags. Actually, if they can get behind them, they're built in quite a cunning position. These Volksgrenadiers here, likewise, probably going to be soon forced back. The overwhelming weight of fire and numbers of these riflemen, who, let's not forget, are pretty damn accurate too. going to be more than enough there to push them back. The rear echelons have now secured the entire of the west, sort of northwest side of the map, and they're pushing right up towards the base. These Storm Pioneers, you see, they just need to be reinforced, like, because if they were reinforced, they could totally take these guys, but with 2 of them, that's, like, sketchy. So anyway, keep your eyes on the mini-map on that little dot. We'll see if he falls them back or pushes them forward. Looks like the commander has been chosen for henkajumper. And of course, he's gone for the breakthrough doctrine. Just hit pause. Just hit pause if you want to see those abilities, because there's fights going on. I'm going to try and cover those rather than these abilities. But suffice to say, he has the ability to call in Panzer Fusiliers, which we now see here on the front line doing their thing. 6-man squad, reasonably elite. They've got decent veterancy, and they scale quite well into the late game. So a good frontline infantry squad. Interesting to see, though, that he's already purchased 3 squads of Volks before committing to the Panzer Fusiliers. Now, a lot of players, what they do, if they're going to go for this commander, the Panzer Fusiliers, I believe, are available from 1 command point. So you tend to skimp on Volks and then use Panzer Fusiliers as your mainline infantry. So clearly the objective here for henkajumper is going to be to use both in tandem. And I quite like that, because remember, Panzer Fusiliers can't purchase Panzer Shreks, which are very potent anti-tank tools. So this way he'll be able to get the Panzer Shreks of the Volks and also the sort of supporting abilities, that's line of sight and anti-tank grenades and things like that, of the Panzer Fusiliers. And actually, having an anti-tank grenade, which can damage engines, combined with the Panzer Shreks on your Volksgrenadiers, is quite a potent combination. So I can kind of see why he might be going for this. We'll see if it's any good. Let's watch and learn. Commander chosen, of course, for KN Imber. He chose that some time ago, but I didn't actually cover it at the time. It's going to be the veteran rifle commander, so that's why he has so many stars of veterancy above his rifleman squads. He'll also have access to the Easy 8 and many, many flamethrowers and phosphorus artillery and fun toys. Moving on. So, yep. The battle group at HQ has allowed henkajumper to reinforce all of his squads pretty quickly after that last extended and prolonged scuffle. So he's pushing out onto the field right now, securing 2 victory points, and looks like the fight is back on. These Panzer Fusiliers caught in the open a little bit. They're going to be forced back. I'd be surprised. You know what? Has he researched his forward fallback point? No, so that's why he's not immediately falling back. Fair enough. I was going to say, one of the nice things about researching the forward fallback point, if you can get it in, is it just lets you in a situation like that where you're just hemorrhaging damage moving across the open. So do you remember these Panzer Fusiliers were here and they were just kind of going like this? You can just immediately hit fallback. It puts them into evasive sprint mode. They fall back right where you want them to here. Then you can just double tap R, get them reinforcing, put them in some cover, and they're right back in the fight in like basically, I don't know, I'd say like 5 seconds or less. Whereas this way they're going to have to fall back to the base, they're going to have to repair here or reinforce here a little bit, then come out. They're not getting healed or anything, so it's just, it basically kind of like makes your turnaround on squads a lot faster, you know, because they would be in this fight. They would have been in this fight like much earlier. Oh dear, this building's empty. He's going to get the Flamer squad into the building. Oh no. Oh, he is if he knows what he's doing. Nope, he gets forced back. The Flamer squad was being focused. Henkajumper there, wisely focusing the Flamer squad, but that was risky times, you know. If the Flamer squad gets into this building, it's like really bad days for Overcommand if you built your truck this close to it. Really bad days. So anyway, able to avoid that, but closer than I'd like, you know. Kind of had me a little bit worried for a second there, did Henkajumper. And so, the American forces, they're going to fall back, they're going to repair and rearm. I'm just going to crack the tack and we can get an overview on this situation whilst there's no fighting going on. So field control pretty much in the hands of the Overcommand right now. Henkajumper doing good work getting his battle group at HQ down behind a nice little Kubelwagen aggression with the Storm Pioneers. And that's enabled him to kind of have this this phase of dominance here. Storm Pioneers, I believe, are laying mines over on this flank. And they are. That's cunning stuff. Nicely done on the fuel point there. Players always keen to command that point. So those mines are going to be a warm welcome for the US forces if they approach it without a metal detector. And sounds like we've got a pack howitzer on the field, and we do. That means that the captain is out, and he is, which I probably could have told you earlier, but anyway, there he is. That's gonna be doing some real work. Now the pack howitzer is pretty damn good at the moment, and up for a nerf. I did actually. Whilst this fight's going on, I'll just tell you a little bit. The October patch is coming up, and I was able to have a look at the proposed changes for that. Now, I can't remember them all, and I don't have them in front of me, but there are big changes coming for both the Lig and the pack howitzer. They're both getting heavily nerfed. The Lig more so than the pack howitzer. The Lig's getting nerfed in every single way imaginable. It's getting like range, damage, scatter. It's like terrible times for the Lig. It's going to go right back to being probably not used very much, I would say, but we'll see. And the pack howitzer, that's getting a number of nerfs as well, so it's probably going to be a lot less useful, given that it's already locked behind the the captain. I'm not sure we'll see it very much either. And I think that's really sad, to be honest. I don't think either of these two units were, like, super great. I think possibly they needed toning down a bit, but I don't think that they needed, you know, as heavy a change as seems to be in the notes. But anyway, I'm not Relic, I don't have access to all the stats and So I could very well be wrong. Now this pack howitzer is getting some cracking rounds in. They're really destroying the heavy cover here is actually could make taking a fight in that location easier for the Americans. We've kind of got this extended infantry skirmish going on all along the front. So that's a position which could have been useful. Now the pack howitzer, is it in a position where the overcommand player can make a push for it? I mean, he's got 4 squads here. He could think about it. The flamers on the American forces make that very difficult. He's got a light gun of his own now, providing indirect fire for the German forces. And that's getting good hits on these riflemen. They want to fall back. That's a one-man rifleman. Oh, he's going to get out of there. He should survive. Smoke coming down from the assisting rifleman squad to cover their friends. And wow, cracking hit from the pack howitzer there. Gets a squad wipe on a unit of Volksgrenadiers who were veteran and did have a Panzerschreck, so that is a heavy loss for henkajumper. The American forces, this constant turf war back and forward, they're getting a little bit close now to the battle group at HQ. A good hit from this light gun can turn it round, but that last one wasn't what he was after. Probably should think about getting these Volks into the building. I don't know actually, because flamethrowers do a bonus damage against units in buildings, so maybe that's not such a great plan actually. But you know what, if he's not going to get in the building, he opens the building up to his opponent, and I think from this building the flames can reach this light gun with moderate ease. This is a clustered target, a pack howitzer round landing there, off by a few meters. A pack howitzer round landing in the middle of this would be devastating. They need to fan out. Oh dear, I'm not sure I like this. And they do fan out eventually. So the mines are still in place, I believe, and were untriggered. Yeah, they're still there, untriggered by the American forces, who were able to capture the fuel point on the sort of western side of the map. So things going well there for Imber, and a Schwerer of a Max Schlepper in an awkward position. Looks like he's got the fuel but not the manpower, and he won't have the manpower for some time, so I'm not sure I like exposing it like this. If only because it tells your opponent where it is in terms of information, and that kind of lets your opponent second guess you. Like it lets your opponent know that, yeah, you're probably going for your Schwerer Panzer HQ and not your mechanized HQ. It lets him know that, yeah, you're thinking of deploying it in middle, so he can look for that when it starts deploying. And of course when it is deploying, it's incredibly vulnerable, so that's when he can make a move and take it out. So I think you never want to display your Schwerer Max Schlepper until the last second, when you've got the resources and you can just plonk it down with the minimum window of risk, in my opinion. Now, it could be a double bluff, but I don't think it is. We've got the 200 manpower, so I believe the battle group at HQ, sorry, the Schwerer Panzer HQ, will be coming down in that location, and it is now on the build, so committed is henkajumper to this move. And if these American forces can punch through, they can destroy this before it's built. It's in a very aggressive position. Of course, there are Americans flanking all the way over here on the east as well, and they're getting very close to this building. The Ligue is also in jeopardy. Constant reinforcers happening. 2 Ligues falling back. The Schwerer Panzer HQ is not even half done. Now it's about half done, and it's taking fire now. The flames hitting it. I've got it selected so you can keep an eye on its health in the bottom right here. Its health doesn't actually appear on the unit because there's a build queue on that. The American forces are really hosing this down. As soon as it finishes, it's going to get a massive flat gun on the roof, which is going to start hooning these guys. They need to think about falling back now. Yep, and there's the fallback. Imber knowing exactly what he's doing. He'll probably take a flat cannon round to the ass. Nope, not even. So he gets out of there scot-free. But this building is now established, and it's in a commanding location. Look at the range here. It's pretty much covering this middle victory point, and that's relevant. The thing to note as well is that the flak shells from this building can travel a little further than this dotted line, so it pretty much is covering the whole of this point. I'd imagine it can fire up until about where my mouse cursor is there. So that's going to be... this is going to be quite the fortification. Now, we know that the American player has pack howitzers. Oh no! The pack howitzer crew have been killed by Ligue fire. Wow, I guess that's what you get when you have 1 pack howitzer versus 2 Ligues. That is unfortunate times for the American player. Now I'm sure he'll reman that and use it to apply pressure to these overcommand buildings, which is pretty much the best way to counter them, at least for the short term here for Imber. So I'm sure he'll. Yeah, there we go. The pack howitzer is remanned. He'll reinforce that and then bring it back and start hooning on these buildings, I'm sure. Now. Axis forces fanning out in mid. Seems like it should be easy for him to grab this point. Then he can get the American player under the clock, which is pretty good, because if you look at the victory points right now, he's falling behind, so he wants to... That's kind of going to become a priority. There's a good grenade, and there's no response in time for henkajumper, so that's going to be a fallback from this 2-man squad, or at least I really hope it is. There it is. Now, Panzer Fusilier is firing in from the flank, and he's got the upgrade pack on that, so they've got their KAR-98... No, sorry, it's the... what is it called? The... G43 rifles, that's it. Another rifle coming down. That's going to do for one of the light guns, so tit for tat there, pack gun for light gun over the last kind of minute or so. And And that's going to help. Now, the smoke's good. The smoke's stopping this flak building from actually opening fire on these American squads. Oh, and but now it is. And now they're going to have to get out of there. It's just too dangerous. And speaking of which, all flak guns in the game, as far as I know, are coming in for some heavy changes in this October patch, which is coming up. So just a heads up, we're going to see a big damage nerf on buildings like this moving forward. And also the Centaur flak gun, that's gonna have quite the nerf as well. So I think all of those things are probably healthy. I think right now this building possibly does too much damage. And oh, good hits coming in from this light howitzer, back in position here, doing work. This pack howitzer, the light gun is gonna counter barrage upon them. But right now, unbelievably, given that the Axis have managed to establish this building here, the middle victory point is still in American hands. So that's really good times. Whoa, a lot of rounds landing in here. How many lives are we up to now? Just two still, just two. But this building kind of looking like it's on its last legs, and it needs to be repaired. He's got the fuel for a Panther, but he doesn't have the manpower yet, and he won't for a while, and if he loses this building, it would have been completely pointless. He needs to at least get a unit out of it. So I hope that he has his attention on that fact. Oh man, where are his Storm Pioneers? Oh, he doesn't have any Storm Pioneers. Oh, this is dire times for henkajumper. He cannot repair this building, and it is going to go down unless he makes a play for this Ligue, like right now. It's going to go down, and that is abysmal times. That pretty much forces him to go for a Jagdpanzer. Not a bad unit, but it ain't a Panther, and you've also paid 80 fuel in your second truck for the luxury of not getting a Panther in this case. So that is pretty bad times. Now the pack howitzer has been forced back, but I believe from here it's just out of range. So I think, crazy as it sounds, I think you have to go for some Storm Pioneers, because I think if you go for a Panther, this building will never survive long enough for the Panther to finish. So I think, horribly enough for henkajumper, you have to go for some Storm Pioneers. Now they're not cheap, they're like 320, 320, yeah. And then you've got to save up the manpower for the Panther. And that all assumes that the building survives, which it very well may not. And here we go. I think the next shot out of this pack howitzer, boom, will do for the building. Oh, it's a miss, but I think it only needs one more hit. So henkajumper is basically forced to get a Jagdpanzer now, or try something drastic. But it's got to be a Jagdpanzer really, because something drastic. Basically, I can't see a winning line outside of Jagdpanzer now. So yeah, horrible times right now for henkajumper. Despite getting the building in a fantastic place, was not able to support it like it needed. And anyway, here comes a good push from the German player, but these flamethrowers are still doing work, burning down the Panzer Grenadiers, sorry, the Panzer Fusiliers, and for horrendous benefit. Now, I'm looking, and there's not a lot to stop a push here to try and make a play for the pack howitzer, other than, of course, the pack howitzer itself. So he could try and do that. Oh, really? He's going for another Schwerepanzer HQ. Well, if at first you do not succeed, be predictable and do it again, I guess. But I'm not sure I like this. I mean, oof. Because even when this building finishes, he's going to have to wait a little bit for the manpower and fuel to build a Panther, which he must be going for. I mean, you don't keep building a Schwerepanzer HQ unless you want something from it. And at this stage in the game, I don't think Obersoldaten or a Lux are really going to cut the mustard. I mean, a Lux might be okay, but I think as soon as a Lux is out, I mean, the Major is on the field, we'll just see a Sherman come out and crush it. So, can't imagine that the Lux is the line here for Imber. So, anyway, let's see what he does. I mean, he's only about, he's like only, 104 victory points behind right now. And it is the Americans, not the Axis, who are under the clock. There's good veterancy on a number of Axis squads, though he does find himself kind of seemingly outnumbered, although actually to look at the unit cap, he's actually up a little. So more or less, in terms of force size, pretty even between the two players. Now here comes a run from the American infantry. They're going to fan out and make a push here. Now what's waiting for them is 2 light guns and a number of other infantry squads. I know he doesn't have the manpower, but I would love for him to get the forward fallback point on his battle group at HQ. Whoa, look at that sandbag. Woo, skimming. Jeez, that's nuts. Never seen that before. Awesome. Physics for the win. Now, the Schwerepanzer HQ in its new location is now revealed. These Panzer Fusiliers need to prepare, and they will. And wow, I believe that will be henkajumper calling the GG at that point. And wow, you've got to imagine that he was just concluded that the game was unrecoverable. That kind of thought that he was never going to get a Panther out of that. I'm kind of... That seems like a frustrated GG to me. I think he was far from out of that game, and I just think with some competent, savvy play moving forwards, he would have been set up for a reasonable mid and late game, I think. So it's kind of a disappointing GG there. But this is part of the reason why I just bring you games straight from the ladder. I like to show games as they're happening, what people are doing right now, like the state of the meta, how people are playing, and also, I mean, these aren't like the best games, but that means that you can learn a lot from them, because you know, sometimes watching just the pro players make their moves, you know, you don't get to see the kind of mistakes which mere mortals like us tend to make, and then you don't tend to learn how to get around them so much. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's my hopes for the videos anyway. So yeah, I like to present the game as it's really played by actual people, even if it is the best people playing on the ladder at the time. So yeah, so a kind of, like I say, a frustrated GG from henkajumper there, kind of bring to an end an otherwise entertaining game. And I guess he was like just about behind, but I still think he could have played on. But anyway, c'est la vie. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. This is Magpie842, signing out till next time.